Hello and welcome to Hopeful Moments 1. Today, I want to share with you a story full of valuable lessons, a story that emphasizes the danger of letting overconfidence and the allure of insider information guide you into risky investment decisions, as the consequences can lead to losing everything. In this story, you will witness a series of unexpected events, from initially investing with full confidence, to a large sum of money disappearing in the blink of an eye, and then turning to gambling as a quick fix, a choice that's far more contradictory and brutal than the initial loss. Small mistakes, when driven by emotions, can quickly escalate into severe financial consequences, throwing your entire life into chaos. Today's story is not just a warning about the dangers of arrogance and blind trust in unverified information, but also a living testament to how uncontrolled actions during difficult times can lead to debt traps and despair. If you find this story interesting and filled with profound lessons, remember to support, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other meaningful content. About a year ago, with strong belief in my market evaluation abilities, I boldly invested $5,000 into a company I believed had extraordinary growth potential. At that time, my mind was filled with confidence and excitement because I thought I had access to a special piece of information, maybe insider information, or maybe just a rumor being passed around, but no matter what, I was certain it was an opportunity one couldn't miss. I convinced myself that I was smarter than other investors, that I had seen an important turning point the market hadn't noticed yet. Without hesitation, I bet my entire trust, and a significant portion of my savings, on this bold decision, hoping that in no time, my money would multiply many times over, bringing me the financial freedom I had always dreamed of. But little did I know, sometimes blind faith and luck can turn into a double-edged sword, pushing me into a gamble with an outcome completely beyond my control. I truly believed I had seized a rare opportunity, an opportunity only the keenest, most market-sensitive individuals could recognize. When I boldly invested that money, I didn't feel worried or hesitant. On the contrary, I was full of excitement and belief in my decision. I felt like a brilliant trader, someone with exceptional vision, capable of seeing things the market had yet to react to. In my mind at that time, this wasn't just an investment, it was a smart strategic move, a move that would propel me to a new financial height. I told myself that, as long as I waited for the right moment, my initial capital wouldn't just double, it could even triple, bringing me a significant profit and helping me get closer to my dream of financial independence. My belief was so strong that I never considered the risks or any chance of failure. In my mind, success seemed like only a matter of time. However, in less than a month, all my hopes and dreams of getting rich completely collapsed, so quickly that I didn't even realize what had happened. The company I had trusted entirely, the company I thought would break through and bring me a huge profit, suddenly filed for bankruptcy. In the blink of an eye, all the stocks I had eagerly accumulated, with such strong belief, became worthless, no different from scrap paper. I opened my investment account, staring at the balance sheet, my heart pounding, palms sweating. The numbers in front of me no longer reflected bright expectations, but a bitter reality: everything was gone. The feeling wasn't just shock, it was a real panic, as if I was standing on the edge of a cliff, being pushed off without any way to hold on. I had lost every penny I had worked so hard to save, and the worst part was, I had no way to recover what I had lost. That's when I realized a harsh truth: sometimes, one wrong decision not only causes you to lose money but can also put you in such a deadlock that you can't turn back. Just a few months after losing my investment, I was hit with another shock. My company decided to cut staff to cope with financial difficulties, and I, unfortunately, found myself on the layoff list. When I received that notice, I was almost stunned, but I still tried to reassure myself that this was just a temporary obstacle. I told myself that with my experience, skills, and past work performance, I would definitely find a new job soon, perhaps even a better one than my old job. But reality was far harsher than I had imagined. Weeks passed, and I persistently sent dozens of job applications, hoping for a positive response, but most of them went unanswered. The few callbacks were rare, and the rejections grew in number. At first, I tried to stay optimistic, thinking that with a little more time, everything would get better. But as my meager savings began to run low, and as bills piled up with no income to pay them, I started to truly worry. Anxiety crept into my mind, bit by bit. I lost sleep many nights, tossing and turning with the question, what did I do wrong? What should I do now? And as months passed with no success, my worry gradually turned into despair. I realized that the job market was much tougher than I had thought, and perhaps, I had overestimated my chances. The $5,000 I had invested wasn't just a loss, it was the result of many years of savings, a financial shield I had once believed would help me through difficult times. But now, that shield was gone, while life continued, and bills still arrived as if nothing had happened. Rent, utility bills, internet fees, insurance, and even small expenses like food and gas, all seemed to be working together to drain the remaining balance in my account. Every day, I logged into my banking app, staring at the shrinking balance, unable to do anything other than helplessly watch it decrease with each expense. At first, I tried to cut back on non-essentials. No eating out, no shopping, no spending on anything other than necessities. But no matter how much I saved, the money continued to deplete over time, like water leaking from a bottomless cup. Then, one morning, when I stood at the ATM, ready to withdraw some money for food, the screen displaying the balance left me stunned. Only a few dollars remained. In that moment, I felt completely drained of energy. A wave of fear washed over me, not just because I was close to zero, but because I knew I had no plan to turn things around. It wasn't just the usual worry, it was sheer panic and absolute helplessness when I realized I had reached the financial brink with no clear way out. At first, I told myself that using credit cards was just a temporary solution, a way to get by during tough times. Just a little bit, I thought. $100 to cover the rent. $200 to pay the bills for electricity, water, and internet. Then $500 for essentials, food, gas, things that couldn't be cut down. I reassured myself that once I found a job, I would pay it all back, just needed to hang in there a little longer, everything would be fine. But I didn't realize that those small expenses were silently adding up, like little stones rolling downhill, gradually forming a huge landslide. Each month that passed, my credit card balance ballooned faster than I ever imagined. At first, when I saw the figure of $5,000, I was a bit worried, but I told myself it was still manageable. When it rose to $8,000, I started feeling uneasy. Then one day, when I opened my banking app and saw the balance had surged to $12,000, I panicked. I didn't know how to repay that amount. I tried all sorts of ways, but all were hopeless. No income, no savings to rely on, no one to borrow from. I felt like I was drowning in a bottomless pit. The more I struggled to escape, the deeper I sank. Each passing day, the financial burden weighed heavier on me, and I began to realize a terrifying truth: I had completely lost control. When everything seemed to be at a dead end, when doors of opportunity were closing and I still hadn't found a way out, I began convincing myself that maybe gambling was the only remaining solution. A faint glimmer of hope flickered in my mind, and I clung to it like someone struggling in the midst of a raging current, believing that if luck smiled upon me, I could turn things around. It didn't take long for me to venture down that path. With my credit card, the only thing left between me and total ruin, I logged into a shady online casino. On the screen, flashy ads promised victories, mesmerizing numbers danced, and the artificial sounds of winning bets rang like sweet invitations. I told myself I'd just play a little, bet small to test my luck. Just $100, a small amount that wouldn't matter if I could double or triple it. But the problem with gambling isn't in the first few bets. It lies in how it controls your mind, making you believe that every failure is just a stepping stone to future success. I started winning, and with each win, I felt more excited, more confident in my luck. I upped my bets, played more, became riskier. But then, in the blink of an eye, the green numbers showing profit turned red, signaling a loss. I lost one round. Then another. The money in my account drained faster than I expected. And instead of stopping, I continued. I couldn't accept that I'd lost money so foolishly, so I tried to make up for it, to recover what I'd lost. The more I tried to recover, the deeper I sank. Before I knew it, I had burned over $4,000 on pointless spins on my computer screen. Looking back, I couldn't understand how I let myself fall so low. Every time I won, I had the illusion that I was about to escape the quicksand. But just a minute later, a chain of losses would pull me back to the bitter reality. Gambling isn't just a game of luck, it's a sophisticated psychological trap. It makes you believe that persistence will eventually turn the tide. But the truth is, that's not the case. I didn't just lose money, I lost faith in myself. But the nightmare didn't end there. One morning, as I was still struggling with the chaos in my mind over the money I'd lost, my phone rang with a notification from my bank. The automatic payment feature on my credit card had been reactivated, and it was trying to pay off the entire balance, an amount I couldn't afford to pay. My heart tightened. I opened my banking app and stared at my empty account balance, hoping it was just some mistake. But no, it was real. Right after that, Amex, the credit card company, intervened and canceled the card. It was like a decisive blow that severed all my remaining hope, and I lost the only tool I had left to manage my way through these dark months. The feeling at that moment wasn't just confusion, but also bitter realization that I had reached a point of no return. Just a few months ago, I could still pay off my debts on time, even if it was a struggle. But now, when everything was out of control, I had nothing left but despair. Losing the credit card wasn't just a financial loss, it was a milestone signaling that I had completely lost stability in my life. I had no plans left, no paths to follow. Everything I had tried to hold on to was now just broken pieces. I had lost not just money, but also trust, self-esteem, and the last flicker of hope. My financial situation had become so bad that I could hardly believe my own eyes. The $16,000 debt on my credit card, along with another $3,000 from a different card, weighed heavily on me like a burden that couldn't be shaken off. Meanwhile, I only had about $100 left in cash, a sum that couldn't even cover basic needs. These numbers weren't just debt, they were blows to my self-esteem and hope. Every time I looked at my bank account, I felt like I was being pushed into a bottomless pit, with no way out. The pain grew even more when I thought back to what I had done to try to fix the situation. I sold everything I owned, from my computer, my essential work tool, to valuable items like guns and other possessions I hoped might fetch some money. Yet, despite my best efforts, the money I got from selling those items didn't help me change the situation. It all seemed insufficient, like a piece of fabric trying to cover the pain, but it couldn't provide warmth. Now, facing monthly bills that kept piling up, I felt like I was surrounded. Every basic expense became a burden, every payment a decision filled with anxiety. I wondered where I would get the money to cover the most minimal costs. Everything I had tried to protect, had vanished over time, with failure after failure, and the small hopes I once held on to now lay in invisible fragments. This feeling wasn't just confusion, it was deep despair, as I looked at the future with no light of hope in sight. Please listen to my heartfelt warning, as I've experienced what you may never want to go through. Don't let the temptations of gambling, whether through online casinos or options trading, cause you to lose control and faith in yourself. Both forms, although different in how they work, carry hidden dangers and can lead to consequences that you can't foresee. The initial excitement might make you think you'll win, but reality can quickly turn into a bitter string of losses. Therefore, the most important thing I want you to remember is to set clear limits for yourself. Not only on the amount of money you're willing to lose, but also on the time and risk levels you're willing to accept. Without a clear strategy and discipline, it's easy to fall into an endless spiral. Just a few bad days, a few wrong decisions, and you could lose everything you have, like I did. Every bit of money, every small opportunity can become a sharp knife, leading you into debt, confusion, and despair. Be cautious and always be honest with yourself, because only then can you protect what's most valuable in your life and stay away from the traps I once fell into. I can't be sure where the future will take me, but in these moments of helplessness and confusion, I feel a strong urge to share my story. I hope these painful experiences can serve as a warning to those who might be tempted to fall into the gambling trap. Sometimes the path ahead may seem unclear and dangerous, but at this moment, I can't stop thinking about others, those who might be facing the same decisions I did. Even though I know the future is uncertain and full of challenges, I still feel the need to speak up. I hope this warning helps them realize that behind every bet, every trust and luck, are consequences we can't predict. I don't want anyone standing on the edge of failure and despair, like I once did, to fall into a never-ending cycle. Be truly careful with your decisions, because each step on this path not only affects your account balance, but can also ruin your whole life. Every bet can pull us into the spiral of addiction, making us lose not only money, but also honor, self-esteem, and the strength to live a meaningful life. If I could go back, I would never let myself fall into that temptation again. My story is a profound lesson in not letting emotions and overconfidence dictate important financial decisions. Both gambling and risky investments carry unpredictable risks, and one moment of carelessness can lead to serious consequences. Through my mistakes and failures, I've learned that setting limits for yourself, staying clear-headed, and being responsible are incredibly important. Nothing is more valuable than protecting what's precious in life, especially your financial and mental well-being. Always stay alert, be honest with yourself, and never let yourself fall into dangerous traps. The valuable lesson I've learned is, take control of every decision, because one wrong step can make you lose more than you realize. Don't let temporary temptations guide your important financial decisions. The feeling of despair and helplessness when facing difficulties is understandable, but you shouldn't let it drive you into risky paths like gambling or investments you can't fully control. Take time to reflect and carefully think about your long-term goals. Seeking support from experienced people, rebuilding a stable financial plan, and learning how to face failure with strength are important steps. Don't be afraid to start over. Sometimes, that's the only way to find the light at the end of the tunnel. Learn from your mistakes, and always remember that being patient and responsible with yourself is the key to overcoming every challenge.